Ladies, gentlemen, unicorns, and other blockchain enthusiasts, welcome to another amazingly interesting episode of the Stakin podcast. My name is Giselle, and today I'm excited to share that we have none other than Elina, COO of Dock Network, with us to talk about all things Web3 and, of course, the future of Dock Network. So, first of all, thank you so much for being here, Elina, and it's really an honor to have you. I'm actually very curious to hear all about you and the Dock project. So, before we dive into the specifics, would you like to tell us something about yourself and your journey in blockchain so far?
Sure. And thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure. So I've, my journey kind of started. The project I was working on prior to Doc was called remote.com, and we were working on essentially a platform for remote workers to find jobs well before COVID happened and the whole world went remote. And during that time, we had a lot of issues that we ran into with data authenticity, proving who someone is, things like fake profiles. And around the same time, we started learning a bit about blockchain and understanding how that could really solve a lot of the issues that we were seeing in the industry that we were working with, and just kind of data in general. So we kind of started a side project, which really quickly became its thing. And I think, like a lot of people did at that time, got really excited about the potential of blockchain and what it could really do. So we essentially created Doc, had an ICO back in 2018. And from there, we're on really an R&D journey of how do we make this vision into a reality in this industry, and how do we actually, use this technology with blockchain to solve the issues that we were hoping to solve.
All right. Well, that sounds really awesome. And you hear that a lot, no? That people are like, well, I started this side project and now it has become my entire life. But that's really cool though, that you can have this initial idea and then just turn it into something this big, to be honest.
Thank you. Yeah. I think it's also, one thing to have the idea and then turning it into reality is a whole nother story. But it's an exciting time, and it was an exciting time too in 2017, where I think a lot of kind of use cases were emerging for blockchain, in addition to kind of the traditional finance use cases, and seeing how there could be wider adaptation of the technology.
Yeah, definitely. And so, well, I think that's a good segue into my second question, which is obviously really we try with this podcast to give a good insight for everyone. So also for people that might actually not have that much experience with the blockchain itself. So let's say to someone that doesn't know the blockchain and doesn't know Doc, could you tell me a little bit more about Dock Network and what makes you unique compared to, well, any kind of other projects out there?
Yeah, definitely. So Doc provides the network, the infrastructure, and a product suite for issuing what are called decentralized identifiers and verifiable credentials. And so let me kind of break all of that down in a simpler way. So starting with so the actual blockchain that we built, so it's a standalone kind of decentralized ledger, essentially, for being able to record what are called decentralized identifiers, which are essentially, a way to identify an organization or an individual on the blockchain. And so with that, with the blockchain, we have made it public and permissionless, so anybody can go and be a validator, participate in development and governance for that. And we've also designed it from the ground up to support use cases that we're working on. So things like keeping the fees low, maintaining a certain throughput, and having different functionality to support privacy with that. And so, essentially, what all that gives us is kind of the back end of being able to support issuing verifiable credentials. Verifiable credentials are pretty much any piece of data where there's value in it being tamper-proof,
Yeah.
instantly verifiable and controlled by the individual. So we essentially want to take any piece of data, and this could be something like a government issued identity, an academic achievement, um, uh, a workforce credential, and give it to people to be able to control and use for themselves.
Okay,
Mhm.
very interesting. And I mean, it sounds also very challenging. Now, I know that on your website it says that you're actually doing all of this, so you're creating credentials and certificates and all of that without the users having to write any kind of code. I mean, for me, that was something that really like stood out from everything because obviously, I have been in the space for a bit as well, and I have seen some projects doing something similar, but it always involves having to know about coding or having to know about smart contracts,
Mhm.
etc., to be able to use it. So that's obviously very complicated for just small users that really just want to get their certificates. So can you tell me a little bit about how this works and how you achieve this technology?
Yeah, yeah. So essentially, and it's a really good thing. And I appreciate that. That's what you got that from the website and kind of what we're doing, because it's a really big part of our journey is adoption and really, really simplifying all those complex things that I said about
Yeah.
the blockchain side. So on top of what we built with the network and the infrastructure, we have a product suite that really supports adoption. A lot of the organizations that we work with and really targeting with this technology are more in the traditional space in the web 2 space. They're interested in using this, but they don't have they don't necessarily have blockchain developers on their team, nor do they want to have to go out and hire and have that as part of their resources. They don't want to interact with tokens, but they really want the functionality and the capabilities. They understand the value in having kind of individual ownership behind data and all these different things.
Hmm.
So on top of the network, we've built a product suite to really support the adoption and reduce those barriers to using the technology. So that includes an API that is similar to kind of traditional SaaS API. It includes kind of a mobile wallet that could be used, and then includes the no code solution that you're mentioning. So
Yeah.
literally anybody, you or anybody listening or kind of any organization can go on and actually issue verifiable credentials to recipients
Hmm.
and be able to create the credential, be able to create that identifier that lives on the blockchain and be able to use this technology right now.
Yeah. And just now I'm just a little bit curious. I know that when I was in uni, we actually had some issues with them making sure that the how do you say this? Well, certification of your degree was like suitable for worldwide adoption. So,
Mhm.
is this something that universities, etc., would be able to use as well?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And a big part of that is there is a whole kind of organization behind standardizing these credentials, verifiable credentials. So it's not just us that's working on this. There's a lot of different kind of projects and companies, and
Hmm.
supported by W3C, which has set a lot of the standards for kind of the internet in general. And so there's several big working groups under W3C who are essentially standardizing this
Yeah.
technology to make it interoperable. So, universities could use it, and then a company, you take that degree and you show it to an organization, and they can go and check and validate that it's all correct.
Yeah, well, I mean that will probably come in very handy. So that sounds good.
Mhm.
Now, actually, I know that also you guys you're already saying it like you have been a little bit in touch with other projects, and but at Staking we also feel that it's very important not to just build your own project and build out your own ideas, but also to help well the ecosystem
Mhm.
and the future of decentralized solutions and Web3 and all of that. So, how do you feel is your role for Doc in that situation or in that ecosystem?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So VCs are still a pretty new concept for crypto and Web3 as well.
Yeah.
But they also have the potential to really enhance Web3 transactions and interactions. in ways that protect people's identities, protect their data, kind of being able to prove, or interact in different ways in Web3. And so Doc's one of a number of projects working on VC adoption. And so we strongly believe, in just, doing things like helping educate about this, looking for opportunities with other Web3 companies who are interested in using this technology,
Hmm.
communicating different use cases. Like there's a lot of interesting ones when it comes to things like NFTs or DeFi, where you can use verifiable credentials to really enhance those interactions, make them more trustless, um, different things like that. So we do kind of interact with different Web3 companies. We do focus a lot on education as well, because we see that as being extremely important to gain adoption, and trying to also simplify where we can. I think NFTs are a great example of, technology that, in the blockchain space that has really kind of been able to, find a really good use case and kind of communicate what they're about. Most people in crypto now, have a good sense of that. So it'd be great to get VCs, if
Yeah,
they're just standing in similar usage as well.
definitely. That would be very cool. Well, and very helpful for everyone. I think sometimes, I mean, definitely in crypto, sometimes people get very drawn towards like the meme factor. And, well, you said it like NFTs because it's all fun. And that's, of course, super good. But it's also nice to have some very serious, well, innovations, I think, on the chain and to see all of those amazing things happening with projects. So, I'm very interested, and I've been lucky to follow you guys along for a while now and have been in touch with your team. So, I'm very excited for the future, so to say.
Mhm.
So now I know that you guys started off as a proof of authority chain back in the day, and you're currently a proof of stake chain. So was wondering if you can tell us a little bit about what this means and why you've chosen for this model versus any other out there.
Yeah, definitely. So we started as a proof of authority blockchain just to simplify the transition. Um,
Yeah.
we actually were originally going to build on Ethereum, and then ran into a lot of the issues that come with Ethereum, being expensive and all these things, and ultimately decided to move into the Polkadot ecosystem. And we did that
Hmm.
because we really like what Polkadot kind of enabled us to do with building our own blockchain. But that also comes with a lot of complexity when it comes to how do you support that? How do you get the validators in place? How do
Yeah.
you make sure it's secure? All these different things. So we decided to do kind of a two-step process where the first phase would be proof of authority. So that means for us, that meant that we had 11 different validators who we selected as a project, and we checked that they're qualified, that they're professional to run the blockchain initially, and that allowed us to get it up and running, to get the general infrastructure in place, and then phase two was to decentralize that with this staking model. So now
Right.
we have 50 validators who are running the blockchain, and they're selected based on how much tokens they've staked and how many tokens have been staked on their behalf by token holders, which is great because really any token holder and a community member can participate in securing and further decentralizing the network. So we really liked that aspect of it, that we can really bring in the community to be involved and to participate or to benefit, to gain rewards from being involved in this. Um,
Yeah.
they can also be part of the governance as well of the blockchain. And we also think it's a much more environmentally conscious solution to be able to use proof of stake versus having to rely on kind of expensive computations that come with other models.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that makes sense. That makes sense. I mean, yeah, we're obviously no surprise there. A big fan of proof of stake. So, you
Yeah,
know, um,
definitely no.
yeah, so that makes a lot of sense. And so, you already said it, you have quite a lot of initiatives going, but if people are interested in helping out and learning more, and learning about the community, etc., how can people join in? How can they support your project?
Yeah. We have a few different ways. So we're big on Telegram. We have a Discord channel. We have very active Twitter that we support. So kind of our social channels is kind of one of the obvious ways to get involved. Like I mentioned, token holders can participate in staking, and that I
Yeah.
think it's a way to be a lot closer to what's happening on the network and get those rewards. We also have an ambassador program, so this is for anyone who might be, a lot more kind of involved in different communities, likes kind of helping promote projects, maybe speaks different languages, different things like that. So we do have an ambassador program in place. And then one other way is for developers. We do have a grant program as well. So developers who either want to build using Docs technology, so build it
Mm-hmm.
or build it into something that they're working on, or contribute it in some way to the Dock Network, they can also apply for a grant.
Okay, awesome. Well, that's a lot. You guys are definitely busy, and I will make sure to pop all the links below for everyone to check it out easily. That's of course very important. And so I think one final question, or well, almost final question, actually, it would be unfair to say really final, is of course what is to come in 2022 and maybe even beyond, but definitely in 2022 for Doc.
Yeah, we have a lot going on. We do have a public roadmap if anyone's interested, but a lot of the focus this year is kind of furthering that adoption, furthering kind of the tools that we have in place to do that, and also enhancing the different capabilities that we have around the technology. So we're doing a lot with our wallet. So the
Mm-hmm.
wallet is a mobile app that anyone can receive and hold credentials. It can also be used for tokens. So we're essentially actually just about to launch the feature to be able to receive and hold a credential in the wallet. So the idea is that way anybody who gets, either whether it's, your university degree or, proof that you worked somewhere, whatever it is, you have ownership of that on your device. And we're also working on a web wallet too that'll integrate this into a browser. So if you need to present that on different platforms, that should make it a lot easier.
Mm-hmm.
We're also completing work on an Ethereum bridge, which will need to go through a security audit, essentially enabling transferring assets between Dock and Ethereum. So kind of opens up a lot of different potential, especially going back to what we were talking about kind of in the Web3 space and
Yeah.
enhancing usage there, but being able to transfer assets between the two chains. Um, we're also working on something called Traceable Credentials, so essentially enhancing how credentials can be used. There's a lot of kind of nuance when it comes to actually adopting this technology in the real world. So needing traceable credentials essentially is like allowing authorities to have access, permissioned authorities. So if I, as an individual, say, okay, for certain reasons, fine for someone to have access to this, giving them
Mm-hmm.
access. And we're also integrating zero knowledge proofs into our product suite as well. So zero knowledge proofs are really powerful when it comes to privacy. I think a lot of people
Yeah.
kind of heard that term. What it means when it comes to credentials is essentially allowing the individual who holds the credential to control what information is either able to be viewed on a credential. So
Mm-hmm.
or not even needing to expose any of that information. So kind of one of the classic examples, if you're at a bar and you need to prove your age, you could do that without actually revealing your birthday, your name, or any information. You could it could just reveal, yes, you're older than whatever the age limit is.
Right.
So it's a really kind of important privacy feature that we see. So I think those are some of the big ones to highlight, but there's
Yeah, definitely.
there's more in there too.
Well, there's a lot to come already just from you listing this couple of things. So, I'm very excited and it sounds very, very interesting and
Mhm.
yeah, just very life changing actually. So, hopefully, a lot of people will adopt and join so we can all be a lot more private, but also interact and have fun and, you know, get new jobs and all of that.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Definitely.
there's a lot of use cases. So it's there's a lot of ways to kind of adopt this technology. So that's really the goal for us.
Yeah, the sky is the limit, really. Like if you talk about it this way, I'm like, whoa, yeah, you can do so many things with this. It's crazy.
Mhm.
Yeah. So before we call it a day or we call it off, would you like to say anything else? Is there anything else I should have asked? Any side notes, etc.?
I think you really covered it. I hope it was. I hope it wasn't too kind of in the weeds of the technology. And I think for us, really, it's about sharing how this could be used and
Yeah.
putting this technology out there, making it simple. So I think for me, you definitely covered all the big points.
All right. Awesome. Well, in that case, thank you so much for being here. And it was really lovely to have a chat, and hopefully we'll speak soon.
Thank you, Giselle. It was a pleasure to be here.